Enough.
I ain't mad.
Yes.
I'm gone.
Yes. Back like we never left, even though Strat actually got up and left.
I had to switch the hat. The Kango was too hot.
Man, he got to put on the Michelin Nest joint. You know?
The Kango was too hot.
Man, ladies and gentlemen, season 4, episode 1. Cross Examine is back.
Yeah.
Back.
Y'all don't even know what the name of this YouTube channel is, man.
It's back to the grill again. The grill again.
Grill again.
Man, it's Kurt's Corner.
Kurt's Corner. Yeah. We on Kurt's Corner. We ain't hustling like that.
Yeah, we going like that, man. Back to the grill again. A grill again. You know what I'm saying? Season 4, episode 1, bro. It has been a minute, man. We ain't even really do no real advertising. Like, I don't even.
Nah.
We wasn't actually even going to go live on this joint. We was actually going to record it. And I just said, you know what? You know when you was a kid and you would go to the swimming pool and you would stick your toe in the pool to see how cold it was?
That's what we doing right now.
Nah. But then it was always that dude that would just dive in. He was like, I don't care how cold the water is. That's what we doing, Strizzy Strack. We just diving in. I don't care how cold the water is. So we were supposed to be recording this and then trying to edit it up nice and do all that. We ain't do no promo, no advertisement, no nothing. This is our first time doing it live, streaming it like this. So this gonna be a good time, man. I'm looking forward.
Are we able to see, like, right now I don't see no comments or nothing. So are we able to get access to that, or how we do this?
Yeah, I can see the comments. I can see them if they come in. I can do all of that. We can do all of it if we want to. I can bring the comments in and let that happen.
See, I think I might see him right here. I see him right here. Comments, private chat. Yeah.
All of it. Man, so hey, listen, bro. It has been a minute, man, since as a matter of fact, it's been April 27th was our last episode.
Wow.
Season 3.
We're slackers.
Listen, no, we needed this, man. The people needed a break from us.
Maybe so.
They needed a break from all of the drama. You know how it is, man. We ain't afraid of the smoke. Facebook user, what up, y'all? What up, fam? You know what I'm saying?
What's going on?
What's going on? Off the Wyclef tip. Oh my God, and come, we soon done. So what's up, man? It has been a minute, bro. How have you been, man? How's it been going? This is our first episode. We're doing some things differently. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. What's different, how we doing stuff. But welcome back, bro. It has been almost 2 months. This is the longest we went, isn't it? We've never done this long of a break in between seasons.
Nah, we never have. I don't think we have. But listen, we dealt with a lot of things this time around that we've never dealt with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So season 3?
Well, nah, just talking about, like, why this gap was a little bit longer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is a different type of gap than what we usually got. So,
yeah, it's a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot going on. And but we going season 4, we guarantee y'all we coming in swinging. And not in like a looking for a fight way, but just we got a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on. There's some, how if you are a cross examiner, right? Then you know how we get down. So season 4 is going to be crazy. We got topics that are crazy. Now we're on YouTube, and we're going to get into all that in just a moment. But what's been good with you, bro? What's the break been like? What you been doing in the off season? Not J. Cole, not that off season, but what you been doing in the off season, fam?
What I've been doing, man, is seminary, bro. Like, well, on top of going to seminary now, we have the restaurant still, obviously. You know what I'm saying? The restaurant still going hard. Yeah, Flora's. But man, listen, now hiring signs have replaced Black Lives Matter signs. Like
That's crazy.
Real rap, fam. I'm
Right.
waiting for the marches for employees. Like
Right.
for ain't nobody want to work, B. Like,
Wow.
well, let me not say nobody, because obviously there's people out there that want to work.
Sure.
But fam, it's been listen, let me just put it this way. We've hired 5 people in the last 3 weeks. 5.
Jeez.
5. And all 5, the day of, or actually the day before, have hit us up saying, yeah, so about that, I'm not going to be there on our start date. Yo, let me just.
So is it laziness? Is it, what is it?
I think it's multiple things. I mean, it's the way the culture is even set up today after COVID-19. Like we've learned how to live and survive without work.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people think this is reality. They think this is the way it can be forever because it lasted longer than a couple months. You know what I'm saying? Anything that lasts longer than a couple months nowadays is like forever. So
John said it was August, not April. I must have said it. We haven't done the show since April. Hey, listen, they got a couple of the same letters in them. So August and April start with the letter A. You know what I'm saying? At least
Close.
Not keep it down. Appreciate it.
My man was like, chill, B.
Right.
So that's been going on. It's been crazy on that end. Seminary's been bananas, like just trying to get used to the whole thing and trying to figure out how to fit in assignments and writing papers and even just school as a whole. Like I'm not a school kind of guy. So, I survived like high school only by the grace of God, actually the whole process. So, like literally, my mom could tell you about the night she spent speaking and praying with my counselors at school for me to be able to get out. You know what I'm saying?
Time is for you. You know.
Like it was the only reason I got out is because they threw art in the mix and I did desktop publishing. You know what I'm saying?
Back there getting tutors high, like, hey man, hit this.
Nah, I ain't even cheap till I was in my 20s, man. Stop it. But nah, real rap though. It's been wild, man. This seminary's been wild. The church has been wild. We're actually looking for a new location. I think we have something locked in.
Why a new location?
Well, the building we were in, we were renting for the 11 years that we were there. Wow. From another denomination.
Okay.
And things just didn't work out the way they needed. The way they would have liked them to work out. We weren't in agreement with all of their beliefs that they brought forward. It wasn't anything that was like, that would cause us to not have fellowship with them. But there's some stuff that was old. Like one of the views that the denomination held to since the early 20th century was entire sanctification.
Right.
So because of entire sanctification, our church didn't feel comfortable joining the denomination, and by that they would have given us the building, more than likely, and we would have been.
For those that don't know, because you've been in seminary and all that.
It's entire sanctification.
Yeah, explain what that is for anyone who's like, what is he talking about?
The name says it all. I mean, people can be entirely sanctified prior to receiving their imperishable bodies. So they can be without sin entirely at some point. They can attain that on this side of eternity.
So perfection in this life.
Perfection. Yep. Yeah. Sinless perfectionism. Yeah. Yep. So we denied that agreement. We denied that deal, which pretty much put the church on the table for us and the building. And we walked away from it. Then, but we maintained relationship with them and we kept running the building from them for years after that.
Is that the location I preached in?
That's the location you preached at. Yep. Wow. So they just recently sold the building. And we're now told we've been given ample notice, they've been communicating with us. Right. So on October 31st will be our last official service at the building. So this week coming up, we got to get everything packed and out of there. So we'll see how that goes, man. It's good opportunity for our church to draw closer together as we deal with transition and starting something afresh.
Yeah.
With the people that have been coming in, because the demographic in our building or in our body, our local body, has been changing somewhat as well.
Right.
So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Man, that's crazy, bro.
And we just celebrated our anniversary. It's actually not till next week, wedding anniversary, but we decided to do that today. Yesterday and today we went out to Poconos,
this, this is you in Florida now. You're not talking
this is
about
me and Flora's wedding
America,
anniversary.
wedding of Christ in the church. You're not talking about
Yes, no, this is me and Flora. This is this is how we get down. Yeah,
right. That's what's up.
Yeah, we just celebrated 9 years, man. 9 years. So yeah, so we went word up. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Yes.
Listen, man.
Never would have made it.
There it is.
Never would have made it.
Then you gotta start talking about no weapon formed. That's how I beat sometimes, man.
That's real rap, B. That's real rap. So yeah, man, we went out, had a good time in the mountains and Hickory Run State Park and just waterfalls. I'll post some pictures there for people to peep. We had a great time though, man. So next week's gonna be crazy. Yeah, next week is bananas.
Is that connected to school stuff? Is that?
Yeah, so next week I got school starting back up, the second term. I got the church has to move. Bible study I lead on Wednesday. Thursday we got the podcast, and then of course Monday, Friday, Saturday is the restaurant. So it's gonna be bananas, man. It's gonna be a little bit crazy. And that is officially our anniversary week. So that's why we decided at my wife's, wisdom that the Lord granted her to go yesterday to take off and spend a couple days to ourselves.
Right. Now that's real. That's what's up.
Yeah, man. Up. Yeah.
9 years. Yeah, man.
9 years.
Yeah, man. Me and my wife did 17.
Woo.
17 in August, man. August 29th. So it's kind of like that's that time, baby. That time.
Yeah. Yeah. Flies by.
It does, bro. Seriously, fam. Like it does.
Mm-hmm. It flies by.
Bro, I'm talking about all types of insects. That joint. You know what I'm saying?
It flies by like a Genesis swarm.
Yeah, right, bro. This is the plague. I mean, this is the Exodus swarm right now. This is the
word up, word up.
Now that's what's up, man. Yeah, man. It's been an eventful time, as you know. I mentioned before, but we bought a home, and so the Lord blessed us with a crazy situation that we were able to get the home that my wife wanted. So we're grateful for that. But that's just been a whole major shift. And then so most of my sabbatical, I take a sabbatical every August. Most of that sabbatical was us just getting stuff moved in and getting situated. And we not real like, let's knock everything out, because we had to like redo put hardwood floors in the basement, all that type of stuff. So there was a lot of that going on. And obviously I had that going on. I wasn't doing ministry, but then I had a couple situations. I went on Seiko Woods' joint so me and him could talk through some stuff. We had a little situation.
Yeah.
Talk through that, and I just wanted to, I was grateful for that moment. And then I was on Ruslan's joint, man. Cool dudes. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons why we're on YouTube, one of them is because of Ruslan. I did the sometime in August. I was on his show, and he was like, "Brother, we gotta get you on YouTube."
Yep.
Me and you have been talking about it. Like we said this towards the end at one of the last episodes. We had been talking about it for about a year and a half.
Definitely.
But it wasn't something I wanted to do. And one of the reasons, there's a lot of reasons we'll get to in a second, but I did that. And then all of a sudden, man, I came back from sabbatical and was just like, one thing about sabbatical, man, like I enjoy them. I don't know how people think through this, right? But when you take a vacation longer than like a week or two, it just affects the way you are when you come back.
Yeah, it does.
I'm gone a little over a month, and it's like, whoa, fam, like I gotta get readjusted to things. Kids started school. We don't know. Our kids are public school, right? So sorry, all the homeschool people who are self-righteously judging us at the moment. 1 Corinthians 4, the Lord will give us our accommodation after he knows what's going on.
Come on already.
But so our kids are in public school. And so that was an adjustment, because all last year they were home learning through a computer, and now they in there with the face mask on, all that stuff, right? So the stream is having some issues on. I don't know if it's having issues on Facebook, YouTube, but it'll freeze up. I just happened to peek at it. It'll freeze up on Facebook. It'd be like the live stream is interrupted. So it keeps saying live video interrupted. The broadcast has been paused. It should resume shortly. So we apologize to anybody that's being annoyed by that is saying that. We'll try to work on that as things go forward. But anyway, so the kids going back to school, all of that stuff, and just dealing with stuff. And then we got a little plumbing issue, welcome to home ownership, We got a little plumbing issue that's been stinking the house up. I mean, this issue, man, it's been like we had to take this all the stuff that was coming out of the main line was coming back up in our house.
Oh,
Everything
really?
blow. Yes. And so what we did, we had a plumber. He took this thing off the little covering in the driveway. So if anything comes up, it comes up in the driveway rather than in the house. Because it would come up in the lowest point of the house, which was the basement where the bathroom and toilet were. So now it would come up in the driveway. But now you just think you got a couple of days to a week of stuff coming up in the driveway,
Yo,
and you gotta sit there and hose all that down.
that's terrible.
Fam, we had deer looking at us like, really?
You like, y'all really giving us this?
Like we can't even eat grass.
Right.
In the house, fam. It was
Right.
a big deer and a little deer, and the big deer looked at the little deer, looked at me, looked at the little deer, looked at me, and was like, really, fam? Like I can't even feed my youngin'. Your
Right.
house stinks, bro. So it was just like it's been a problem.
First is the Chinese lantern flies. Now it's you and what's flying out your rear end.
Man,
That's
what?
nasty, man.
Let me tell you something, man. God designed it so that goes down. It's not supposed to come back up.
Never.
So when it comes back up, is when you think, "Wow, Lord, we are fearfully and wonderfully made." But this is the fearfully part.
Yeah,
This is the part I'm afraid of. You know, it's like this is the fearfully part that we're made of.
That's terrible.
I'm telling you, man. So we dealing with that. But other than that, man, it's been a blessing. We're grateful to be in the home, and it's been cool. Been writing music, so I'm glad. I'm actually glad, bro. You know, I was supposed to drop Serial Killer Smiling Pictures, shoot, back in like May. Remember I was going to drop it for my birthday?
Yeah.
That's what it was going to be. I'm glad I waited, man, because it was able to. I didn't. You know, we talked about this. I think on season 2.
We've been talking about it.
Yeah, we were just naming different concepts and things that like we should do to be creative and come up with different titles. And I brought that up as one of the titles back then, and people was like, "Yo, that's a crazy title." Well, now that title has really developed into something significant, and I'm really excited to release that. Everybody who's a Kirk Kennedy music fan knows that you're gonna get like some thought-provoking music. I've sensed all the race and all that stuff. Like I've dealt with all of that, so I'm past that. So this has nothing to do with any of that. This is a whole different vibe, and it's really a deeper actual concept. One of the things that we're going to explore in season 4 is what the real issue is. Like I've really been studying all of the race and politics. You know, we talk about a lot of stuff. You know, as people who listen to us know, we're going to try to pull behind the curtain, right? We're going to look at the fake Wizard of Oz behind the curtain and see. But I think there's some stuff that I feel like the Lord, as you've been growing in seminary and studying, I feel like the Lord has given me some insight. I think it is, into some of the deeper levels of stuff. So I'm looking forward to us exploring it. But it definitely will be explored on the album and musically and artistically and in a way that I think people will resonate with that stuff. But obviously we'll talk about that another time as we get closer to that. But here we are, man. We doing this live, and so we doing YouTube now, fam. We doing YouTube.
Uh-oh.
That's the Nelly joint, right? If you don't know nothing about Nelly, then your breath is smelly. If you don't know nothing about that's how we doing it. So we doing YouTube, man, and we told y'all a little bit about it. We're excited to be on YouTube, but it does come with its own challenges, right? YouTube has, so we're used to doing an audio version of a platform, right? And that's been cool. We're used to doing that. We put it out, and that's still going to happen, right? So we're still going to have an audio version of this. It'll be different because the theme song that most people are used to hearing on our show, we can't put it out on YouTube. We're going to have to change it for YouTube because what happens is I bought the beat years ago, but I didn't buy it exclusive. And so like you get these flags from Airbit, like, hey, not like you can't use it, but they won't let you monetize your stuff. And we got some stuff coming that we want to be able to present to you guys for consumption. And so we just said we're still going to do audio. So the audio version will still have the intro, the beat, and all that stuff, and then this audio will be a part of that. So you'll be able to catch it all. But we are going to still do the audio, but there are different rules, man. There are different rules with YouTube. There are things that we said and did on the audio that we may say and do now and get some flack for them, because
May
yeah,
we'll
because
definitely catch some heat.
yeah, we might even catch some heat this episode. Who knows? So
Who knows?
and that's just what it is. And that's not, we're not trying to catch heat, but everyone understands, and we'll talk about this later on, that we're living in a culture that is Babel-esque, right? It's this sense of everyone needs to think the same way.
Sensitive.
Yeah, and to do that, you have to penalize people for not doing that. That will scare people into doing that. And these kind of platforms do the same thing. So, and to certain people, which is interesting, but we'll come back to that. But there are different rules. So one of the things that we're expecting, this is what I'm expecting, based upon what I see on YouTube, many people have built their platform and are building their platform on let's make a YouTube video critiquing what they said on their YouTube video, on our YouTube video, critiquing them and show snippets of their YouTube video and why we disagree with them. That's kind of the thing now. Let's critique. So we highly anticipate that there will be YouTube critique of it. Someone's going to take something we said and make a YouTube video for it. And I expect it, and I'm excited to see it, because people have nothing better to do but to spend time trying to show you why what they think is better than what someone else thinks. And so it's going to be interesting to see this. By the grace of God, I will exercise self-control and not bite anybody's book and rip it. And I'll try to be good. But obviously there may be a time where we may have a retort, particularly if we feel misrepresented. But we need a name for that. Like I need a name for what is it called when someone makes a YouTube video about your video because they disagree with what you said on their video, and they're going to talk about it on their video. We need a name. And I have one, but I don't think it can't be defined. But right now, it's called the Swebby. It's the Swebby. Don't Swebby me. The Swebby is when you make a YouTube video to critique some other people's videos. And when you're trying to build a platform critiquing other people's YouTube videos or your YouTube videos, it is the Swebby.
That sounds way too complicated, man.
Hey, but listen, it's complicated in real life because I honestly don't know, why does it bother you so much? Like, that's what I don't get. Like, okay, let's say we say something, and I get that we're going to talk about media and stuff like that. I get that, right? There's going to be things happening in the world. But like, I don't ever have us, and I could be wrong, we've never done this before. So I don't got us. Let's pull up someone's YouTube video and let's critique what they said. Let's watch 20 minutes of someone's video and then tell you why they're wrong. Listen, fam, I don't care enough to do that. Unless you're saying something about us and it's a mischaracterization of us, then maybe we'll talk. But if you are woke or not woke, if you take the vaccine or you don't, I don't care enough to do a video. If you have a different theological perspective, so what? I don't really care. I have responsibilities in my church and to my family. I don't care if you think that Jesus is the eternal brother of Satan. I don't care unless it's affecting people in my church. Then I may say something. So it's going to be interesting, man. That's one of the new rules that we got to deal with. Censorship is going to be another one that we may experience some, depending on what you say, because we've never been afraid to say what we think, right? So that's not going to change because we're on YouTube. We might dance a little bit, we might do a little bit, we might Fred Astaire a little bit on them, we might, turn up on them. We might Millie Wop a little bit, but we intend to say what we think and to be to be honest about that. So if you are watching us, just give us some time. This is our first live YouTube video. First time doing this. We weren't even going to do it live. We were just going to record it, touch it up, and then throw it out there. And I was like, you know what? Forget about it. We both
Yeah.
Let's just do it. What you excited about being on YouTube and streaming live? So what gets you?
I'm not. I mean, aside from being able to reach maybe different people, more people, I'm not really excited about it. I'll just keep it a buck. Like, I think, going video adds a lot more to it. You know what I'm saying? So, I like the freedom we have on podcast world. I like the being able to maneuver without being too concerned about what other people are going to think or feel, even though there is some of that to a certain extent regardless. But so we'll see, man. I'm hoping that my excitement comes to the top as we move forward.
I gotta let my cat out. See, this is the thing when you going live. See, before we would be like, hey, I gotta use the bathroom. Keep talking. We just pause, and now it's just gonna be. So listen, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, my bladder is weak. If I have to go to the bathroom, see ya. I'll be right back. Like right now, my cat is trying to get out. It was hiding in my office because the plumber was here doing what he does. And I forgot he was in here until just now. So let me let him out because he's at the door, pressed to get out. Here, boy.
Pressed to get out.
Get out of there. Go, Merc. Go.
What out of they? What out of they? Hey.
How we doing, baby? Yeah. I mean, this is going to be a labor of love, right? So, how to do it, but it's fun. Listen, here's the reality: if we don't enjoy it, we'll just go back to doing what we do.
Right.
I mean, it's not like oh my gosh, if we, like I don't have a multi platform with all this. If we don't like it, we just go back.
It's definitely going to take some getting used to, man.
It is, though. It is. It's going to be interesting to see us. To watch it and see it because we're just not doing that. So, but I'm looking forward to trying to. You know what I'm like? Here's what I'm looking forward to. I'm not looking forward to being on YouTube as much or streaming live on Facebook. I'm looking forward to the challenge of building up our channel, building up this channel, building up what we, like you said, reaching a different audience.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to a lot of the ideas that we have, presenting them to other people and seeing how it resonates, right? Because, and also I think I'm looking forward to the potential feedback, because one thing I do enjoy about this type of platform is that you do get feedback from other people right in the moment. Like we don't always get feedback. We know that we get a lot of downloads, right? So I'm also looking forward to that because we're going to see how this plays out because we haven't done anything for 2 months and people just out of sight, out of mind. There's some people that are like, yo, when y'all coming back, man, I missed the show. Yeah. There's some people that are like, may not come back at all. So it'll be interesting to see to get those people to potentially subscribe to the channel, right? So that way they can get that. Because one of the other things too that me and Strack are going to do, so Cross Examine is going to be the main show, but there are going to be times where we just jump on briefly throughout the week. There might be times I just want to speak to something that's happening. Because one of the disadvantages it wasn't a disadvantage to us, but in terms of one of the setbacks that we saw in doing it just by audio and recording a show on Thursday night and dropping it on Friday, one of the challenges we faced was if something happened on Friday or Saturday, we couldn't talk about it until the next weekend. So even though we would bring it up, and by God's grace, people appreciated some of the perspectives we have, we try to bring things with a fresh angle. Everyone does that, so we're not unique in that. Everyone tries to present things in a way that grabs your attention. Because honestly, we're asking you to listen to us when you have tons of other people who are better than us and more entertaining than us to listen to. So we understand that. But we couldn't speak to things as they happen. Well, on YouTube, now that we have this channel, there's going to be more briefer videos. It might be a 5 or 7 minute video covering something that just happened and we just weighing in. That stuff will be different. That stuff will be different for us.
Yeah, we'll be doing a lot of them joints, a lot of them little snippet here and there.
Yeah, sometimes it might be one of us, sometimes it be both of us. We're just going to jump in. Hey, this is what happened. So This is our first episode doing this, so we're excited about it. We're looking forward to some of the things that we're learning in software. So all of this is happening right now. But again, we're glad to try this. And if we don't like it, we'll go back to just
Yeah,
audio.
our eyes is wandering. You know, my eyes is wandering. I'm looking to see if anybody's involved, looking at the
Right.
Facebook joint. I still don't even know how to find us on YouTube. So
right. Yeah, I gotta look at
what's Kurt's Corner? Like
yeah, right. So that's the thing. That's one of the challenges too. You got to be able to look around and see like this, and this, what's happening, getting notifications. I don't know.
So how do you find Kurt's Corner? What do you type in?
Kurt's Corner. Kurt's Corner channel. I will put a link in there, right? Okay. I'll put a link. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can. That's a good question. Let me put that bad boy in there now. See, manage Kurt's Corner. Let's see. Let me see.
So you put a link in the live show?
I think I'm gonna try to edit channel. Let me see. Kurt Kennedy's Corner is what it's called. I'll send a link because if I try to do that now,
it's Kurt Kennedy's Corner. Okay.
Yeah, Kurt Kennedy's Corner.
That matters.
Yeah, it does matter actually. Now, it's Kurt Kennedy's Corner. So I have not gone there yet, but this is we just getting started. That's it. So I'm looking at some of the comments. Some of the people don't show up. It'll say Facebook user, so I won't know who this is. And there's also a delay too, so you get comments about stuff you said 10 minutes ago.
Right.
It's like, fam, what you mean, fam? I said that 10 minutes ago. I already corrected that.
Yeah, where you been at, dog?
Yeah, exactly, right? I already corrected that.
We already proved that
so point. We are doing YouTube. We're doing YouTube, and we here, and we're looking forward to that. All right, let's get to what I know you're going to dig this. There have been some versus battles that have been crazy. Now, we didn't have an episode when the Locks and Dipset went, did we? Because that was in.
I know we talked about. I think it might have been before our last episode. Actually,
it was. I think it was. You think we did talk about that one?
Yeah, I think it might have been before our last episode.
Was it in August sometime?
I can't remember for sure, but I'm trying to remember what else was happening around that time.
Yeah, it was so much happening, man. It probably was. Yep. But the one we can talk about was Big Daddy Kane versus KRS-One.
Woo!
Bam.
Yeah.
All right, so this is what ooh. So this is what I want to know, right? When you first heard about this versus, what did you honestly think?
I thought, I guess Big Daddy Kane was the only one that had enough to, step up, because KRS calls everyone out the box. Like, that's just how he does. He in his mind, he's number one. You know what I'm saying? So, and he's been saying that since the late 80s.
I'm number one.
Yeah.
I think he hit that early too.
Early.
My philosophy, right?
Yeah, early.
Early, still number one.
Yeah. So
I thought. Go ahead.
I felt like okay, Big Daddy Kane's the only one that was, that had the cojones to be able to be like, yo, fam, I got this. Let's do this. Right. With my 120 BPM beats.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Let's get at it. Because everybody knows KRS-One got them. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like the hard hitting joints. And then Big Daddy Kane come out with the you know what I'm saying?
Hey, look, Big Daddy Kane, come up, let it roll, get bold. I just can't hold back. Control the effects of what the heck rock the
He killed them joints though.
Yeah, he was killing them joints.
Yeah, he killed them joints.
And he was still holding on to them. All right, so when I first heard about this, I was a little disappointed at first.
Ooh, why?
Well, because I think, you kind of want different, like, I want to see Rakim versus Kane, because back in that era, see, I'm old enough to have been in that era and really know that. We know what's up. Right. Back in that era, it was Rakim versus Kane. There was a lot of subtle sneak disses that people thought they was going at. KRS-One was just a different type of rapper. Like, he was the teacher, right? And to be honest, I liked him, but I was never drawn to him. Like my favorite rapper was Rakim. Big Daddy Kane. I would go back and forth with them, and then I would like some other people and stuff. But I was never really drawn to KRS-One. He had songs that I liked. He had singles that I could get with, but he wasn't my guy. So, and his stuff was too preachy for me back then. You know, when he first started, he'd be talking about all this stuff, and I was like, man, I ain't really. But then it was that era when Public Enemy was out there, Poor Righteous Teachers. So all of that black power movement through the music, it was kind of there, you know.
Yeah.
Even Kane had that Young Gifted and Black, which he spit on the joint, right?
Right.
So that was from an era where I was a kid, I was young, but I grew up in that era. I fell in love with hip hop in that era. So BDP, KRS-One was a part of that. So when I first heard it, I was wishing it would have been Rakim. But then I thought, I don't know if Rakim got 20. I mean, he got 20 songs. Any rapper that's put out 3 albums can play 20 songs.
Yeah.
But you got 20 joints that people like really bang with.
But that's the thing too, is KRS-One and Big Daddy Kane are showmen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like they get on the stage and they put on a show.
Right.
I don't know that Rakim would have been able to do that.
Nah,
like,
he would have.
Rakim
with it.
Yeah,
he's the God Rakim. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's a word be to Allah. He'd have been preaching more than he'd have been rapping, man.
I mean, you set up a cipher and Rakim's going to murder. He's going to do his thing.
Right.
But you put a stage performer out there, you know, like KRS-One is known for his stage presence.
Yes.
Like that's what he does.
Yeah.
And Big Daddy Kane as well. Big Daddy Kane is known for his stage presence.
Yeah. But I will say, all right, so after I got past all of that, I was like, I didn't really think about this one. When the Lox versus Dipset was happening, I was thinking like, man, who's going to win this joint? And I was going with the Lox. I was more of a Lox fan. I didn't really bang with Dipset too much. I've always thought Cam was overrated and all them dudes were, to be honest. So I was always more of a Lox fan. So I was right on that, the Lox one. But I couldn't really say like, oh, this is clear. But I was thinking like, dad, does Big Daddy Kane have 20 joints though? Like not just 20 songs, but 20 songs that people going to connect with.
Right.
So the joint starts off. I got to be honest. Fat Joe had a nice introduction, bro.
Oh, yeah. His intro was tough.
Fat Joe's introduction.
Yeah, his intro was tough.
Yeah, his intro made you get hyped. Like, if you're from that era, here's what I will say.
Exactly.
Here's what I'll say. The Lox versus Dipset was the kind of battle that if you're not from that era, you can still like it. Like, it made you want to, like Jadakiss was saying that, like, all these newer rappers was getting at him like, yo, bro, I want to get better at performing. I want to start doing the verses without, knowing my lyrics. Because a lot of verses up to that point was like people rapping over their lyrics. Yeah. Snoop Dogg was one of the first people that ain't do that. Yeah. Snoop Dogg was out there dancing and performing. He was taking it serious. DMX was just kind of sitting down, chilling, right? So
Meth and Redman did that too.
They did too. Yeah, they
Meth
did
and
too.
Red, yeah.
They did. But so a lot of people said that this is the battle that if you weren't from the era, you might not appreciate it as much. You might not understand what I'm not saying you couldn't. I'm not saying the people that weren't. But I think this is one of those battles where this was about hip hop, the era of hip hop. This wasn't really about Big Daddy Kane versus KRS-One. This was about the golden era of hip hop and two of the biggest names in the 80s that the transition into the 90s that paved the way for some of your favorite artists today. Like there would have been whoever your favorite artist is, no Drake, no Kendrick, no J. Cole. Like there would have been none of that. I think none of that if these guys hadn't have been brought to, especially like lyrical and craftsmanship, right? It just wouldn't have made it. It would have died out. There's a lot of musical art forms that die out or that don't get the acclaim that rap did. But people took rap serious, and these guys paved the way for a lot of that. They took a lot of the bad record deals back then so that people nowadays can get these big deals.
Yeah, they learned a lot of the hard lessons, for sure.
Yeah, they did. So in that sense, I felt like you wouldn't get it. You wouldn't understand. But Fat Joe came out. He sized it. He gave a nice joint. He got you hype. It got me hype. I was like, oh, here we go. I was getting the hype. And then he's introducing Big Daddy Kane, right? And then he's waiting, and he's talking about technical difficulties. KRS-One was like, man, he's in the dressing room afraid. Let's get it popping. You know, he just goes right in. He's my
Hard.
philosophy. He's not even playing, right? Then Kane comes out, and Kane surprised me. Kane comes out with just rhyming with Biz. And I
Right.
was like, oh. Now, again, this is what I mean. If you're not from the era, you might not even appreciate. Just rhyming with Biz was a crazy joint.
Yes.
Crazy joint. That was on the Marley Marley Control Volume 1 album.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? If you that's what I'm saying. You don't know about. You gotta be from the. And I'm not. You know. I'm just older, so I happen to live through it. You gotta be from there. He comes out with the just rhyming with Biz. That beat was crazy. Biz was on that 1 2 1 2. I say yes yes y'all to the beat y'all. Party having people be like having a ball. Hey 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 hey. He just come into the joke like that. I'm the rap promoter. I start the show. He would just come in like that, right? And then Kane came in. What's the Kane in the flesh? Of course I'm fresh. And if you thought that I was rotten, beg your pardon. So that was how Kane got introduced to the world through that. So he starts off like that, and then it just takes off. And it was an epic battle, especially if you're from the era. But bro, here's what I will say. I was blown away by KRS-One's stage presence, the amount of hits he had. Like, I didn't realize how many joints I banged with from KRS. It seemed like every joint he put out, I was like, oh, no. I only did it a couple times with Big Daddy Kane, bro. I only did it a few. I mean, there were some joints I liked, but I was like, okay, that's not really competing with the South Bronx.
Nah. I'll tell you what he did do that was interesting, and I think he was trying to compensate for where he might have been lacking as far as hits.
Right.
And he was taking beats from the 90s.
Yeah.
That he rocked to, and you knew there was new lyrics. There wasn't his old lyrics. You know what I'm saying? There was new stuff that he was rapping to these 90s joints. Yeah. So I'd imagine when them joints was dropping back in the 90s and early 2000s, he probably was peeping them because he was still a younger dude at that time.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? He was probably peeping those like, yo, I'll smash that beat too right now. And then probably just started right into them joints, you know what I'm saying? And kept them in the pocket for something like this. Because he had like a good 4 or 5 of them joints that he came out. Even the Big L beats. Like he was.
Yeah. He was
and you gotta be somebody to rock on those beats. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
What I love though, KRS-One was like, man, this ain't, man, he don't got the hits. He was because let's stick to the hits.
Yo, he was playing them, dog.
Calling the police. You know, it was just, you know what it did? Again, because KRS-One wasn't my guy, right? I respected him, but he wasn't. But what the versus battle did for me personally was make me respect. I respect KRS-One. My respect went up because I just forgot how many joints he just had. I mean, just joints that were important, like Sound of the Police, just stuff like Jack of Spade off the I'm gonna get you sucker soundtrack.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like he just had a bunch of joints that I was like, and then you had when he hit that "Who am I?" the MC. I was like, fam.
Yeah.
This is that joint. And I had a couple.
That was the thing is he did his music with stage performance in mind.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he set up like he was trying to create hit after hit after hit that would work well on stage for him.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. I mean, asking, who am I? The MC. You know what I'm saying? Like that whole setup is crazy. Anybody could do that in their show, and that joint would be popping. I guess, it was perfect. It's perfect.
You know what's funny to me was like some of the people they brought out, you could tell they ain't been on stage in a long time.
Yeah.
That wasn't trying to get off the mic, man.
For sure.
Buckshot, when he brought out that, how many MCs must get this?
Yeah.
Buckshot was, you could tell people were like, hey, man, what you doing, man? You going over to Kane? It was like, Buckshot, get off the stage, man. You about 55. Get off the stage, man. You know, and Kane from Brooklyn too. Like you both be from Brooklyn. So what you mean? You going at so that joint was great. And then when you had the dude from Channel Live, that dude wouldn't stop talking.
Cool
Das Effects.
Shakens.
Yeah,
I mean,
Das
that's
Effects.
effect. Yeah, it was
Das
that's
Effects.
effects. Yeah, that's
Das
effects.
Effects. I was like, man, it was
Yeah,
good to see them. Like, you know,
yeah, they
especially
want effects.
when they hit that boom,
Ah, the
boom,
doom doom doom. Yo, that Jones crazy.
that joint used to be really
Yes,
boom, stickity boom, huh? Like, it was
yes,
just cool. It just, again, bro, it's just like when you came from that era. I like hip hop now. I love it. You know, obviously we're still artists. We still make music.
of
I
course,
appreciate
of
even
course.
the way the art form has changed. I like the trap sound too. It's not my original draw, but I've grown to appreciate it, like it, listen.
Yeah,
But everyone, this happens to everyone. When you are introduced to something from your era, you're reminded.
mm.
It's like wow. So there was just stuff that just
It
it
takes
made
you back.
it took me back to when I really loved hip hop and like it was all I wanted to do. I wanted to rap. I
Right.
wanted to do when I was just doing it because I loved it. Like there was no monetary gain in it. There was nothing. It was just like I love hip hop. This is what I'm doing. This is how I'm doing it. So that was
Yeah.
cool. And I think,
When
real quick, man, I forgot to say this. We haven't. This is our first time. Subscribe to the channel, ladies and gentlemen.
yes, please
Click
do.
that subscribe button. Click that thumbs up button. People always say that it's for the algorithm, right? The algorithm is the the
It's
algorithm
currency.
is the Holy Spirit of social media, fam. That algorithm, man. People that
Yo,
are slaves to the algorithm.
that's one of those things where we would just. That's one of those things.
I'm telling you, bro. It is just like people are entrusted. Man, people need that thing, man, that algorithm, man. So click the subscribe button. This is our first one, but y'all gonna get a lot of content. We're gonna make you laugh. We're gonna make you mad. We're gonna make you cry. All of that, man. We're gonna have
All of it. It's always going to happen.
Yeah, it's always gonna happen. You're gonna laugh. You're gonna be mad at us, yelling at us, putting mean comments in, and I'll put them on the screen just because we ain't tripping. Right? So all that to say, I loved it, bro. It was a good joint. I was surprised. I went back to it, watched a part of it again more than once.
Did you?
To be in it. Yeah, I definitely have. I didn't do that. Excuse me. I didn't do that. I did it the first time when I was with Locks and Dipset was the first one I went back and watched parts again. Because there were parts like in the Locks and Dipset, bro, when Cam was hitting that, welcome to New York City. Welcome to New York City. With him and Jay. And then right after that, Jadakiss brings out the New York joint he did with Fat Joe and Ja Rule. And the crowd just went crazy, bro.
Right.
That just gave me goosebumps. Again, because I was alive for that. I was a part of that era.
Yeah.
You know? So there's that. So here's the thing that's floating around. So that was a great versus battle. It was good.
So the breakdancers, though. The breakdancers.
Credit brought the crazy legs out.
Kane's breakdancers did they thing.
They did their thing. Because that was one. He had the original crazy legs.
Yeah, they do it. Yep.
The Rocksteady crew. Right. And then he had another young dude, a couple years. There was that one dude who was doing them flips. He was ridiculous.
Fam, that young ball, like sideways jump flips, like all kind of stuff. And then elbow lands, neck lands. I was like, yo, this dude is smashing it.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
He was going in. And I enjoyed that. He was going and I enjoyed it. It was just a good, and even a little bit, the little DJ Scratch and Kid Capri, they was trying to sneak their battle, and they was like, man, go ahead, man, we ain't trying to hit it. But they still got it in a little bit. So I appreciated that. It was just a good night for just the culture of hip hop.
Yeah.
And if you're old enough to have come up in that, it was like a thank you to you because we the ones who supported those artists and paved the way for those artists to be able to make money and entertain. Obviously, if no one bought their records, if no one went to their shows, if no one supported these guys, they wouldn't have been able to do it. So it was like an ode to us almost, like a thank you to us for all that we've done. So I appreciate it, man. There's this thing going around the internet about people are afraid to do a versus battle with Busta Rhymes.
Ooh. Who's gonna do it? Who's gonna do it?
I don't know. That joint. You know who I think could do it?
Eminem?
No, because no. Now here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. We kind of make versus battles try to be like era versus era. But what it's really about is 20 songs that you got, 20 songs that you got. So it really doesn't matter what era you came from. Right. But what they're trying to do is keep it in an era of the same kind of music. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate that. One person, I think, could do it with Busta Rhymes and give him some go just off the songs. Now I don't know if stage performance you can. Busta Rhymes has got an incredible stage performance. I don't know if you can hang with Busta Bus, but here's the person I think that could give Busta some run. Close to the same era is LL Cool J.
You think?
Yes, LL. Now remember what we talking about here.
I know, but that's
about 20 songs versus 20 songs.
You're talking about longevity, like that. Yeah, I
Both
don't
of them
know.
got it. Both of them
I
got
don't
it.
know. That's a whole different. Yeah, I don't
Well,
know.
here's the thing. LL started early. He came out in '84 with My Radio, right?
Yeah,
My radio, believe me, I like it loud. Then he gonna come out with all that.
right.
Oh, no rapper can rap quite like I can. I take a muscle bound man and put his face in the sand. All that. Then he say code LL and do the wow. So right, you gonna get all of that. And so he's before Busta. Busta came out in like 88, 89 with Leaders of the New School. It's just another face. And then he was on Tribe Called Quest joint. Here we go, yo. Here we go, yo.
Yeah, so like 91?
Yeah, that was like 90. That was 90. So actually, Scenario was
92.
So that was on their first album. That was on their first album. Yeah, the remix was, hey, now they go.
Yeah.
So you got 91, right? So Busta Bus was later, right? But LL was able to stay with it. Because you got, I mean, let's just name a couple songs, right? LL, you got My Bad, Going
Backseat of My Jeep.
Backseat of My Jeep.
Mama Said Knock You Out.
Mama Said Knock You Out, right? Around the Way Girl.
Oh my goodness.
So, I mean, what? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hey lover, hey love. All those are Boys and Men. Then you got like some of the posse joints, like I
The Cyphers.
The Cyphers. You know he gonna spit on I Shot Ya. He just got some and that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That 4, 3, 2, 1. I mean, all LL got 20 joints.
Oh yeah.
That I think could rock. And then you got Busta Bus. You got just
that's interesting.
See, you got the joint with
got the ball in check.
All in check. You got the joint with gonna make the joint with Janet. That joint was crazy. You got
he got too many hits, man.
He got the joint with Flip Mode. He could both of them could use their verse on Flavor in Your Ear remix.
Yeah.
They both could jump on that joint, right?
They could do it together. That'd be tough.
So I think LL Cool J, maybe besides like a Jay-Z or not, which is not gonna happen. Jay-Z,
nah.
There's no one time on that. I think only other person that Snoop already went, so Snoop went because Snoop was like 1990, so he could compete with Busta Rhymes because they're the same era.
So you don't think M got 20 hits that could bang with Busta?
Yes, I do, but I don't think that's a battle that people will want to see. Is what I think.
Okay.
I think Eminem, people will probably want somebody closer to his tenure. So like, because he came out about 99 with my name is Keep It Slim Shady.
Yeah.
So I think some people will probably want him closer to his era. He got 20 though. He got 20, but I think
he definitely
would love to see Busta Rhymes, LL Cool J, because they overlap. And then at one point, Busta Rhymes becomes bigger than him, and LL still hanging, but he has 20 joints that he could bring out. That I think
easy.
I think that would be a crazy battle. That would be crazy. Obviously, you would love to see Jay-Z and Nas. I don't think Nas could hang with Jay-Z though. In terms of like, even though I think Nas can, these guys got multiple albums. You can bring 20 songs. It's just, can you get 20 to match the energy of that person's 20? That's what it boils down to. I can put out 20 songs, you know what I'm saying? But can they match the energy of what that person's bringing out there? The excitement people hear. That's what was with Kane. There wasn't the same excitement for some of his songs as BDP. And that joint was in Brooklyn. I was in Barclays.
Right.
It was in Kane.
Barclays Center, yeah.
So it just didn't have the energy because he just has so many more anthem type songs.
Yep.
So I would love to. I'd love to see that. I think that would be a good battle. There's a couple other ones I'm thinking like, man, that would be. Of course, this ain't gonna happen, but I'd love to see Lil Kim and Nicki Minaj. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that.
Yo, I don't want to see Lil Kim on camera at all.
That's actually a good point. I actually take that.
Yeah, that's weird. She's a weird person, man.
Lil Kim looks like a Thundercat right now. That's what I'm telling you, man. Plastic surgery is bad for your skin.
It's of the devil. It's of the devil.
People be looking like the island of Dr. Moreau off of that joint. Like, I don't understand. No.
Vanity is vanity.
Man, this is crazy, bro. We're fearfully and wonderfully made. And we talked about what the fearfully part meant. So there's a wonderfully part already. I just think that's a whole. We might have to do an episode on plastic surgery. Man, I just feel bad for people who get it. It's like, wow, who lied to you?
I know. Especially, like I saw this lady walking the other day, right? And you know, as like dudes, we have the, you know, tendency to we see a woman, just, let me check it out real quick, see what happens, you know. And
it's real.
Hey, I mean, it's just real. It's, you know, it's flesh. It's we do. That's how it is. So the other day I was with wifey. We were at the store, and I happened to look over, and I was like, "Whoa, what in the world?" And she's like, "What? Oh, you talking about her back?" I was like, "Yeah, her back. That was weird looking. Like,
it was one of them joints.
It was one of them joints. Like the joint, like was legit, like a shelf. You know what I'm saying? But but it was just weird. It just didn't fit. You know what I'm saying? It didn't fit the rest of the body. Like it just was weird.
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, bro, there have been times I've just seen plastic surgery in the face, and I've just really felt really bad for the woman.
Yeah.
Like, wow, like you honestly look like a Thundercat person.
I think you said it best though. You said it like they just look like, I forget how you said it.
Man.
Oh, somebody lied to them.
Oh, somebody lied to
them. They lied to themselves.
You keep getting it. It's like, why did you do that? Like who promised you something that if you did that, and then once you do it, it's not like you can just make your face go back to normal. Like, all right. I don't like just go ahead and put the cheekbones back down, and because they got to move stuff. So now it's like, all right, well, let me even this up. And then what do you do? Like when you look at yourself, you have to pretend like you love it. Like and you got to try to convince other people you love it. And the whole time they're trying to convince you that they love it when they don't.
Right.
There's no way.
The only thing I could think of akin to it, well, in my like as far as my experiences, is going to get a cut, right? And the dude line up your joint wrong, and then you leave and you like, you try to look at mad different angles to see which way you might actually like the lineup. You know what I'm saying? Like mad different angles, but you can't beat it. But the good thing is, you know, your hair's growing back, so you'll get your line back. You know, you just
not laughing at people who have plastic surgery, but we are laughing at people who have plastic surgery because
it's just different.
I just think it's weird, man. I'd rather just be an ugly dude and just be good with it.
Now, as a medical solution, I think it's served a purpose. You know what I mean? Like it's helped people with cleft lip. You know what I'm saying? Like people that have deformities, like, you know, it's done a lot of great things.
But that's a different reason though, right?
It is. It is very.
You mentioned vanity earlier, right? That's that's not for vanity's sake. That's so people don't look at you wild and you can breathe. You know, all that. I get that. Like I'm all that type of plastic surgery. Go get it.
But this
tummy tucking and adjusting cheekbones, Botox, all this. I don't want to get old.
Yeah, that's what it is.
All the pressure from, especially if you're in like a Hollywood or some, all that pressure, and it's like, fam, you just trying all that stuff is fake, and it's like, man, people.
You know what's interesting to me is I was thinking about this the other day too. Actually, the same day when I talked to wifey, I looked at it and I was thinking, those are parts that don't belong inside the body. Like stuff has been done weird. What's that going to look like when they get old? You know what I'm saying? Like we know how tats look a little odd when people get older, their skin gets wrinkly.
Yeah.
What's your booty going to look like when you got implants and your skin all around it is just wrinkly and like dropping?
All of the implants, all they're going to do is just drop down
with
to your ankles.
Be dragging them around.
Your ankles gonna look like tree trunks.
That's terrible.
Because you're gonna have all this stuff that just worked. I'm telling you, man, it's like You talk about you talk about permanent ankle weights. You're gonna have to you gonna have to get surgery. But that's what people don't think about, the consequences, right? It's all about carpe diem, seize the moment, right? Let's
Right.
live in the moment. Let's live in the moment. Let's live in the moment. And you gotta live beyond the moment because that stuff that is whatever you do now to your body is gonna have consequences later. And so, I just think, man, I feel bad for it, but uh,
It is what it is.
you can't take the blue pill. You know what I'm saying?
Thundercats, ho!
That's what it is, man. All right, I don't know if you saw this, man. I'm how did have you are you aware of this Gabby Petito story? Have you been keeping up with this and her fiance Brian Laundrie? So this is a young girl. She was 22, white girl that was found dead.
Oh yeah. They went somewhere together,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then he came back without her.
Yeah, but now they found the remains of his body though. Just
What?
today. They found the remains of his body today. Brian Laundrie.
So homeboy came back, was living normal. Her family called the authorities, right? That's what I know. And then they started investigating. They couldn't find dude, and now they found his remains.
Yes.
Ooh.
Bro, so you know what? So the story is sad. And if I'm a parent, I'm heartbroken. You obviously, on some level, you want that type of attention drawn because especially when your child is still missing and not known to be dead, you want that type of attention. Here's a question that I have, and this is a real question. Like, what makes that couple, that story, like, why did it get so much attention?
It did get a lot of attention.
People, I mean, that joint has, like, who is, I remember, and again, I'm a father. I have 3 kids, 3 boys. I love them dearly. And if anything happened to them, I would be distraught. And I would want the same media attention until they're, obviously if they were not found, you would hope that they're alive. I'd want that attention in hopes that if someone took them or that maybe they would be afraid of all the attention and release them, all of that, right? I'm not talking as a parent, and there's nothing against her parents in this statement. I'm just curious as to like what made their story become a national headline. And maybe it's not a question that we can answer because it's like what makes something go viral, right?
Right.
But like I'm just curious as to what was it about that they weren't like, to my knowledge, they weren't Hollywood elite. They weren't athletes. There was nothing special about them. And it just made me wonder, like, how do we as a society determine and put value on people's lives like that? It may not be a question that, it's just something I was really thinking about. Like, why do I, and again, as a human being, as a believer, as a dad, you feel for the parents in certain ways. But it also almost made me, and it's a deeper issue for me, which I'm not going to cover on this episode. We got plenty of time to develop this. This is only episode 1 of season 4. But it made me wonder, like, what is it about, like, who determines these are the narratives that we want to get behind? Let's talk about this young girl who got murdered and this dude, and now let's make this because everyone's picking this up. All types of media. If in my YouTube feed, there was so many Gabby Petito, Brian Laundrie, Gabby Petito, Brian Laundrie, and I was like, who are these people? I was like, why should I care that they die? Like, what is it about? Like, what's the significance of them? And I'm just really curious, man, how we as a society place value on stuff like that. And what is it? What I wonder what the media was getting out of running this narrative. Like, why should we care about their death? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, why there's a bunch of people who have died this week. Why don't we know who Patty Swebby is? Like, why don't we know who she is? Why don't we, like, I wonder, why should we care about these people? And that's a deeper question about media and how media works and what I'm supposed to value and care about. But it just made me wonder, like, what is it about them that I should be like, wow, let me really invest in this and read this article? And I don't know, man. I don't know. What do you think about that, bro? I don't care for real.
Nah, yeah. I don't care what criteria the media uses to determine what they want to cover. Like, I really, because they're biased no matter what, so they're
Right.
just going to
But I'm
cover
not
what they
asking
feel
that
like.
question like I care about media, right? I'm not asking that like I
Yeah,
care about. I'm asking a philosophical question
right.
more
What
than
is
like
it?
what is the media like. I don't care what they do either, but I'm just thinking like why am I having a why is this girl so important? Like why is her death so important, and why is it there's so much mysterious death that happens?
Do
Why
you
is
have
it,
any thoughts as to why?
I do, but I want but some of that is just going to be developed over time. I do. I just think what do I want to share right now? What can I share about this? Because I don't. There's a lot that I don't. There's so much we're going to talk about. This is just episode one, so I'm just trying to make sure I'm not saying too much just yet. But yeah, I do think one. I mean, I'm not going to pretend like she's blonde, she's white. That's all going to play itself out, right?
For sure.
That's all because I don't see, and I could be wrong. I don't remember someone black or Latino or whatever having this type of attention. I don't remember that. So again, it feels like you know what it feels like. This is what I'll say, and I don't want to go any more into this because I want to save the deeper issues that I think are going on for as we develop them. What it feels like, and this is going to sound really weird because it's not that serious, but it almost feels like a reaction to a lot of the attention on like critical race theory. All those things are typically, even though those things have it's an ideology, right? It's all these things. They're still largely connected to the black cause and the black struggle, right? A lot of it's that. And the media is always corporations. I mean, it's whatever drives capital is what's going to make the headlines. It's going to do that. It's going to whatever they think is going to drive capital. So it's not even about media. It's what makes money. That's the culture we live in. So all the people who complain about the way corporations and media does things, that's the country we live in. Like we've created a nation where privatization, which I don't think is a problem, is king in terms of ownership and business. And so people are going to be driven by what makes money. So like this is why I don't get offended. I'm not offended at Facebook. I'm not offended at Twitter because they're doing what the country set itself out to do was to privatize these things, make as much money as you can, and then flip that. Right? So the deeper issue for me, which I don't want to really say, is really more about the socioeconomic system that we're in, capitalism, and how that people are complaining and pushing back against that, but it's been the very foundation in which you've accepted and desire. And so I think a lot of the stuff that people are offended at right now is just like, but this is the system that you wanted to do. This is the system that you wanted. Mark Zuckerberg should not be mad at all about having to talk to Congress. This is what you wanted to do. This is
Yeah.
you set in motion. Like this is so I think a lot of it has to do with things like that about what makes money and what values. But I think it's a way deeper issue. I'll say this. I think money, we know that the Bible says that the love of money is the root of all evil, right? I think people think money is the power. It's the main thing that people are after. And I don't think that's true at all. I don't think because there's something more powerful than money, and all money does is to help you have influence to get that. There's something way more powerful than money. And I think we're deceived in thinking that it's actually about money. And it's really not about money. But we're going to talk about that in another time. I want to hold on to that because that's we're going to walk into that. But it's something way deeper than money. There's something way more powerful than money. Something
I mean, money does not have. I mean, so I guess on an exchange level, money has an objective value. You know what I'm saying? On an exchange level. But ultimately, money doesn't have an objective value because it's subjective to those who are empowered to determine what is worth. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, money can't be, the great value, the greatest achievement or attainment. it is actually who determines the worth of anything, that actually has the power. You know what I'm saying? So that's where we going. I mean, that's where society is as a whole. It's how do I attain more power? That's the way it's always been. That's why people conquer other lands and other people groups. You know, it's
But
always
so
about
the question is, what is power though? Because that's what I'm getting at. What exactly? Who is the most powerful person?
yeah,
Like what
power is
determines power?
power. I think, and on our level is the facade of ultimate sovereignty. You know, it's a fake, it's a imitation sovereignty. It's really how can I act as God, you
Yeah,
know, as much as possible. You
yeah,
know, and then of course all of it falls apart when you realize you're not omnipresent or omnipotent or omniscient, you know, all of those things. Then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, I'm just a man. So it comes down to it. When somebody puts a gat in your face, you could be like, you know, it's like Mike Tyson said, everybody got a plan till they get punched in the face.
you're punching the
You
face.
know, I don't care how tyrannical and how ill of a ruler you are. When you stand in front of somebody that can beat you up and they start giving it to you, you will punk out real quick, real rap.
Tap out.
Tap out real quick.
All right, so this brings us to the next big story and where we're going to end our time today. So both of us, this is the big deal, right? Right now, everyone's talking about this. They've been talking about this Dave Chappelle, the closer, his quote unquote finale on Netflix, which I don't think it's going to be that. I think it's going to do more eventually, but everyone's talking about this and really the transgender conversation. That's the real issue. So I want to get your thoughts on what you think about the actual
The
show,
show?
and then sort of the backlash and all of that. I want to know what you think about as you're processing what you're seeing, and I mean, because it's really fascinating to me. It's fascinating to watch all of this play out. It's really fascinating to watch the backlash that Dave Chappelle is getting from
Yeah.
the what they call the alphabet community. I think
Yeah.
that's what we're supposed to say on this. We're not supposed to say on YouTube. But it's interesting. It's a really, really fascinating moment to watch Dave
Right.
Chappelle, who has significant power, say these things, and then to watch the backlash of employees leaving Netflix. I don't even know how many people even knew that a white trans woman was a writer. I think she was the impetus behind this show, Dear White People, which is an all black show based on a false college that talks about the racial dynamics
Right.
from a college level, right? She was the one who wrote and the show,
Interesting.
a white
Interesting.
trans woman. So
Interesting.
I haven't. I did watch season 1 of that for 3 years ago or something, just because it was around that time when everything was about race. And I wanted to peep it, but I didn't really get into it. It just seemed a little too campy to me, like just a little too.
Yeah.
Now I know why I didn't really bang with it, because it even wasn't written from an authentic place at one level. But I think it's fascinating to watch Dave Chappelle deal with. Not even deal with. I don't think Dave Chappelle cares. He's on tour in the UK.
Yeah.
Watching the media and the culture deal with this. So, what are your thoughts on his special, The Closer, and then with the backlash of stuff that he said about the transgender part? It's not the LGBT. He said this on one of his other shows. I think we got to stop pretending like they're all together.
Mhm.
Like the lesbian, they're not. LGBT is not a family. It's an acronym. That's all it is. There are not people that bang with each other. They're not. They do not like each other necessarily, but they benefit from being lumped in together and treated that way. It's not. They don't bang with each other. Like transgender women who are biological men are angry at lesbians and lesbians vice
Yeah.
versa,
Yeah.
because it's not like they all. So I think that in and of itself, presenting it as an LGBTQ issue gives the impression that they're united.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that would be different than the civil rights era, right? Because you'd have been hard pressed to find some black folks in the civil rights era that didn't want the same thing Martin Luther King was wanting, even if they didn't like his methods. It
Right.
wasn't like Malcolm X disagreed with some of the outcome and the treatment of black people and calling it out. He just had different methods, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But within this acronym, they just don't. We present it like they're a united front, and they're disunified more than a lot of folks. So that in and of itself is interesting. That's one of the levels of why. Wow, this is really fascinating to watch all this play out.
Yeah, I mean, I think they would consider themselves distinct marginalized groups.
Sure.
You know, very distinct from one another. The similarities would be, or the similarity would be, that they are marginalized groups.
Right. But I think the impression is when we hear about them, when they're described, when you think LGBTQ, you think a united front of people who are all like the civil rights era, all black people felt that way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, their pride parades present that type of imagery as well. It presents them as all being together. You know. So.
Well, to be fair, the transgender movement did not really start. It went harder after 2015 when gay marriage was.
Oh yeah, it rode the back of the wave for sure.
I think the transgender community felt like, okay, now that gay marriage is passed, it's our turn, right?
Because for sure.
Before that was not what people were talking about.
I mean, it's something we've been saying from the gate that would happen, and that and we know what else will follow as well. There's other things that will follow even this transition.
Pedophilia, all that, right?
Yeah, so we talked about that. I think when it comes to Chappelle and everything that's been going on with him, I have so many thoughts. I'll try to bring them in and make them make sense together, how they fit together. But one is the viewpoint where you look at artistic ability, creativity, and you hear the arguments of, well, you can't take the voice of the comedian because the comedian is the voice of the culture, and they should be free speech is part of comedy. If you strip free speech away from comedy, you don't have comedy. That's one argument that's made that I can appreciate to a certain extent because we live in America. That's something that America has set up for us to be able to go for. And I applaud them dudes standing like watching and listening to Chappelle do his bit. I applaud the stance he took. I applaud the freedom of speech, the way he did so. Do I agree with all of his content? Was all of his content to my approval? Heck no, of course not. Right. But was it comedic? You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, I laughed the entire time. Whether some things I felt bad because I laughed about, yeah. But man, you cannot deny that he is the king of comedy.
In this day and age, absolutely.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the other thing is, I think it's odd when we look at the relationship between Dave Chappelle and Netflix, because Dave Chappelle is almost like the anti-Netflix. When you look at his career and the way he's functioned as a comedian and as a persona, he's functioned as the type where I'm going to say what needs to be said because everyone's thinking it, and I'm going to say it in a funny way. And Netflix don't bang like that. I mean, Netflix has been very careful to till the line, to walk the line of inclusivity, with everything that's out there as far as sexual desires and sin. I mean, they've gone to the extremes. They've done stuff documenting pedophilia and, all kind of things. You know what I'm saying? So it's just odd to see them be the ones to stand up and say, "No, we're not removing Dave Chappelle's thing." Not odd in the sense that, people don't do things that they don't want to do because they get money for it. Like, we know that. You know what I'm saying? We know people will do things they may not necessarily want to do as long as they're getting paid for it. And Netflix is making crazy bank off of this show. You know what I'm saying? This is the biggest comedy show, I think, maybe ever. You know what I'm saying? This joint has just gone through the roof. So they're making crazy bank. But how do we deal with, the dude who's the representative for Netflix saying we're not taking it down, we're riding with him, and then backing out and saying, well, maybe I shouldn't have said this, or maybe we should have done things differently, but they're not taking Dave Chappelle's show down. You know what I'm saying? Then you have these dozens of Netflix employees do a walkout and I wouldn't call it a riot, but like a petition or a stance to make their opinion known. A boycott. Yeah, boycott. There you go. And you know, they make it seem like Netflix is closing down because they got dozens of employees outside. Like, come on, fam, Netflix is huge, man. This ain't even.
Listen, man, Netflix is hiring right now.
Yeah, it's not a. It's a
Oh,
drop in the bucket.
yeah.
So, but the media would have you believe that, you know, whoa, Netflix is in trouble because they boycotted. Like, come on, man, it's not really happening at the end of the day. One of the things that really troubles me though is how long this has become the main topic. You know, you talk about Dave Chappelle and things he said on the comedy show. What's been now 2 weeks, maybe a little longer, and yet this has been covered, I think, more than Afghanistan. Like, it's just wild, like the way that, like what we were talking about, media kind of maneuvers, especially mainstream or, you know, CNN, Fox News, all of those guys would, they find something, they stick to it and make it the big issue, you know, and then social media follows suit. They do the same. Everybody's talking about this Dave Chappelle thing as if though he just did something that even comes close to what else is happening in the world right now. I mean, what he did didn't even come close. You know what I'm saying? Like,
In
and I
America,
think
I don't think the rest of the world is.
right.
Yeah, in America, yeah.
Yeah, well, in America for sure. I think America would be the one crying about it. You know,
Yeah.
that I'm pretty sure the rest of the world watched Dave Chappelle's show though. I guarantee that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was the world watching that joint. But yeah, it's hard to walk through with some of it, man, because this world is so upside down and backwards right now. It just blows my mind that him saying some things about a certain group of people that identifies over a certain thing, which is confusion, you know, which is kind of crazy, um, would stay in people's forefronts and in their minds for so long when there's so many other things that are so much more important that we're dealing with on a regular basis. So
No, that's a good point. That's a real good point. Yeah, I think it's an interesting time. I think I actually like that it's been in the forefront for as long as it has been. And I think it's because it's the first time in at least since 2015, since gay marriage, it's the first time that I've seen the country actually divided and really pushing this type of like this conversation. Like it's been such a bulldozer, like a tank in a backyard type of thing, a tank in the neighborhood. Like it's just like you can't say that. And I think what's fascinating to me is the foundation of the Trinitarian documents in America, the Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence, and the Constitution. These things have never created the kind of society that those who are transgender in particular right now are demanding they be afforded, right? Like it's almost like you, the world or the country, the world has to treat us better than anyone else for the most part. Now, granted, there are other people in this sort of marginalized people group, right? So that are saying that, but I feel like it's almost for America, it's almost un-American, right? To do something like to say like you can't say this. I mean, America was built on First and Second Amendment. I freedom of speech, and I have the right to carry a gun in case you don't like what I say, right? So I can say what I want and then shoot you afterwards. Like this is the hallmark of what it means. Not a Christian. I'm not talking about with the Bible. I'm not even talking about what does the Bible say. I mean, we already know James 3, taming the tongue, Ephesians 4, let no unwholesome talk. We know that the First Amendment is not a biblical command. It's an American law. It's not a biblical law, right? There's a lot of stuff we just can't say. We're not supposed to biblically. Obviously, we can sin is sin. You can go against the grain, but this is what it means to be an American. So it's really fascinating to watch. And this isn't about capitalism necessarily. What Netflix is doing is about capitalism. That's about that's that.
for sure.
The rest of it is not really about capitalism. It's about changing the fabric of American society in such a way that now, because it's Dave Chappelle, I think people are getting tired of feeling like we have to these marginalized groups are the only people that matter in the world, right? That's the only reason why I'm glad that it's been going and that it's happening. I'm glad that Dave Chappelle actually has not went on an apology tour. I'm glad he said some of the things that he said because he has the power in the American democratic republic society to be able to make these statements and push back. And I've seen many other celebrities be afraid of the machine that is
Right.
fill
Right.
in the blank, whatever that is. He's not afraid of it. And I think what he's doing, what's interesting is this, here's a dude that I don't think is a believer that is basically pushing back in ways that believers should without the same language, right? Without the same vulgarity. I
Mm-hmm.
almost feel like a non believer is taking a stand more than believers are taking a stand on some of these things. We're more afraid. We're afraid of being canceled when we don't even got no platform.
Right.
Like
Right.
if YouTube says, "Hey, we don't like what you said," and you can't, so what?
Right.
You know, like I'm not now. Again, if I got multiple, if I got my money's coming from here, I get it. You're going to whatever feeds your family, you're going to be protective of and try to figure out how to dance around it. But I just think it's interesting that this one. I just didn't expect this. The culture is really expressing the divide. So what this is doing is demonstrating a further division within the nation, but different allies are coming together. And many of them, some of them are based on capital, some of them are based on exhaustion, just frustrated, tired of this. And humor, in and of itself, is like when they say humor can say this stuff. No, let's not. Let's just be honest. It's not about humor. It's about Dave Chappelle's brand of humor. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's allowed to say this type of stuff.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
other comedians say this type of stuff. I mean, Kevin Hart said stuff in a tweet 10 years ago and then was apologizing for it when they took away him being able to host the Oscars or something. And then he eventually said, "I'm gonna stop apologizing." Like, no, this isn't about humor, like the stand-up comedy. Dave
Right.
Chappelle is making it say like I'm about comedy and this is about free. This is about Dave Chappelle's brand of humor. A lot of people have become accustomed to it and they like it. And I think a lot of people are refreshed by his pushback because it's people are tired of feeling like I'm going to be penalized for thinking and feeling this way.
Is Dave Chappelle the Trump of comedy?
I was about to say something. I was going to say a few minutes ago. But I think he is, bro. I was actually going to say,
Yeah.
it's funny you bring it up. I was going
Yeah.
to say that about, yeah, I think he is, bro. I think he's the Donald Trump of comedy. But the difference is he's not, it's not political. It's not like all the Republicans or all the Democrats like him.
Right. Right.
He
Yeah.
just had, but he is the Donald Trump in a sense. He has a tribe of people that love what he does, but more so, it's not about how funny he is. It's about you're saying what a lot of us feel.
That's it.
You're allowed to say it.
That's it.
A lot of people are tired of having to. They're tired of having to get a vaccine shot. They're tired of having, the woke stuff is kind of calmed down some. It's still out there, and people are still holding on to it to try to make because the next big thing hasn't hit. But many Christians, I will say this. This is what I mean about it's interesting. I do not, and we've said this before. I do not see many Christian leaders who are taking a stance against like woke or white supremacy or I don't see them going after this issue. They are steering clear of any issues related to LGBTQ stuff. They
Hmm.
are steering clear. I want to see you dudes say something about this. I don't hear none of that. Where's your book at about this? You got books about woke and anti woke. You got books about politics, and you got all this. You got conferences that talk about how could anyone vote Democrats. You got conferences and stuff talking about how could people vote Republican. They support white supremacy. All of that, but none of those leaders are touching this issue. This issue is an eternal issue. This issue affects soteriology.
Mhm.
Because if this isn't a sin issue, then the church, then we have a problem. Because then we don't know what sin really is anymore. Then because if this is wrong, then how can any sin issue be wrong? Like how do we know that this is what Paul meant when he said not lying? How do we know that I watch a lot of people cave on this issue, and this is what people need. People don't need to know who to vote for, fam. People
That's
don't
good.
need to know if you vote Democrat, you should be under church discipline, or if you vote Republican. All these Christian leaders are soft. They're afraid because they don't want to deal with what's necessary for us. So you'll do it in a small setting, but you won't use your Twitter, your YouTube page. You don't go after this stuff. We hide behind Dave Chappelle and them and then make little commentary about what's happening. We give our voice a little bit and then we go back to the other thing that we're not afraid of. Let's go back to like politics, and let's go back to social justice, and let's go back to Calvinism versus Arminianism. Let's go back to, but that's not where we need to be at. None of those things have eternal value. This does, though. And how the church is thinking about this, how we need courage to stand up in the culture about this, not just who to vote for, or not courage about denying a vaccine and making everything the mark of the beast that has nothing to do. So that's the stuff I think this is very interesting. To watch that it took a Dave Chappelle, someone who I think is a non-believer. He could be, but I have no evidence of that. So that's all I'm saying. I don't know if he's what he would say. I have no evidence of that. And the way when he talked about Mike Pence and praying against it, I just did. Dave Chappelle.
He's wild.
I just think it's interesting that this is the guy pushing back against a much more serious issue to me than like if you got the jab or not. Like you're taking a stand. I'm watching these Christian leaders. You're taking a stand on not getting the vaccine or getting the vaccine and ignoring this much more serious issue that affects the Christian. Shame on these dudes. Because shame on them, because you fear man and you don't want to say it. So that's so there's a lot more to be said. We're going to develop things over time, but that's where I feel like wow, it's really interesting to watch the culture, the non-Christian culture. I mean, Christians are afraid to weigh in. They're to watch the non-Christian culture go to war over this issue, and the fact that it's still around, I'm actually glad for that, bro. Because if it comes and goes, then people forget about it. But the fact that we're talking about it and it's in the media, it's making people be like, you know what? Yeah, man, I agree with this. I'm tired of that. So with the Netflix dude, I was like, okay, even though I know his motive is capital.
Right.
Because listen, we live in a soundbite society, right? People will get over it. All the employees are going to eventually move on. You only have a platform right now because that's what people are talking about.
Yeah.
3 weeks from now, no one's going to know any of the names of the people who quit Netflix. No one. No one's going to know any of those names. And Netflix, if they're smart, just from a capital perspective, not a biblical one. We're not even talking about this one. If they're smart, then they're going to acquiesce to some of their claims. We need more transgender representation here. Then they may do all of that just to be like, okay, why not? Because everybody has, everybody has the same color of money.
I mean, that's what they've been doing already anyway. They've been gun ho.
Money is genderless.
Yeah.
Genderless. It doesn't matter. So if they're smart, they'll take from this, take from that, take from that. But it's the Christian community, the leaders, all these YouTube channel dudes, they got 20,000 and all that stuff. Crickets. You'll critique a dude's position on justification, but not that. Not this issue. Dave Chappelle is the David against that Goliath. And everyone out there, the church who's supposed to know who the real, we worship this, the descendant of David, right? Crickets, bro.
Yeah, I'm not seeing, unless there may be dudes out there. I'm sure that there's dudes out there that go after that issue
Of
that
course.
deal with it
But
on
the
the
people that
regular.
have influence that we could easily see, I don't see it.
Yeah, now we're not seeing it. It's not their pressing issue. I mean, we know what the pressing issues are by those who are, the top tier theologians of our day. We know what their issues are. We
Quote
know what they
unquote.
constantly, quote unquote, for sure. Yeah. Those that are acknowledged as such. But yeah, you're right, man. I think it's dope, and it says a lot about what um how the Lord works, in our lives and in culture, and how he destroys the wisdom of man. We, even as Christians, the wisdom of man as a Christian would think, yo, there should be a leader within the Christian church rising up and making a stance and paving the way for us to have this discussion. And yet the Lord rises up someone in the likes of, a Martin Luther King, you know what I'm saying, who many people would say was theologically damaged,
Right.
and yet he was used in a way that was needed. Yeah. So and we stand again with somebody who we would look at and be like, yeah, I don't know that this dude is a Christian. Like, he's just not acting like a Christian. But I'll be darned if I'm not going to stand by some of the things he's saying. When he talked about the young lady that everyone has been talking about, the transgender dude, you know what I'm saying? Daphne, yeah, the man that he knew, that he met as a young lady, but found out he was a transgender. Later on, when he talked about meeting his children down the road, and the way he, hey, I met your father. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was refreshing. You know what I'm saying? It was like, yo, like, that's what we would want to hear said. And he did so even in a loving way. Like, even his characterization of how it would have went down was still done in a way of, like, I cared about this person, this man, and he tried to be a woman, and he was good at it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
That was the the sentiment. It was cool to see him respond like that, and you can kind of see some of his brokenness over the scenario.
Right. And let me just say this one thing so people don't misunderstand what I'm getting at. I think the point of Dave Chappelle's special, and the point that I'm making, what I'm seeing in the culture, and the point to anyone who's in the LGBTQ community is, I'm sorry, but you're just not more important than everyone else.
Right.
I think that's what it boils down to. Like, you're just not more important than everyone else. Like, you don't get to control how everyone thinks about you. Like, it's not I'm not even touching on.
But they have so far. They have been able to.
They have been. Yeah. And that's why I said this is a fascinating thing.
Right.
We're not even talking about biblical. Like, I'm not even going to the scriptures necessarily. I'm just saying you're just not the most important marginalized people group. It's just not. And I think that's what's fascinating, is that's the reality. Like, it's not, there needs to be a return to sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Like, even though that's never really been true, it said something about what people will or won't accept and tolerate.
Right.
I'm not going to let you verbally assault me and it's going to bother me. I'm going to move. That's when he was talking about, man, I like them gays from back in the day, like them Stonewall dudes will fight you, He said, I'm with them type of. I think there is a sense where the culture has gotten to a point where, again, we have to protect the most vulnerable, but I don't think you're the most vulnerable, though. And a lot of people don't think you're the most vulnerable people group. And that's not wrong of me to say. It's not unloving. Because like he said in the episode, there are white transgender people that are racist. Like, so what are you talking about? Like, so that's what I feel like is like, wow, this is really fascinating to really watch this and to see the backlash and to see the pushback from, a house divided against itself can't stand, right? So it's only going to last for so long, right?
Yeah.
But to see this play out is really fascinating. And I think for the first time, people feel, because I'm watching different people defend Dave Chappelle, and I think people are like, yeah, man, I'm tired of this particular people group acting as if it's the most important people group.
Right.
And you're just not. And you cannot convince 300 and something million people, let alone billions of people that you are, and it hurts. Welcome to what Black people have experienced. Even though you've made a lot of progress, welcome to what other marginalized people groups have experienced.
Yeah.
Women, Black,
When you say a lot of progress, his point to that was hilarious.
yeah.
You know what I mean? When he said about if slaves was rocking Daisy
Right.
Dukes,
Right.
slavery would have
I
ended
want you to get up on that
way
hill and
before.
you know. I mean, I think that's that, and that's the point. Like you've made the LGBT community has made astronomical strides in the last 10 years. On one level, on one level, it's almost like, hey, hush up and accept the grace the common grace that you've received.
Right.
You've made significant strides.
Fam, the last 10 years have turned the world upside down.
Turn the world upside down.
Yeah.
And now you almost act like everyone should give you more. It's like Oliver Twist. Please, sir, can I have some more?
Yeah.
And Dave Chappelle is like, no.
He's like, nah, chill.
I think there are people that are making that point. Like, listen, you're not the most important people group in the world, and we're not going to treat you with kid gloves. You're a grown man, woman. You're grown. Like you are grown. We're not going to treat you like you're in kindergarten because your feelings get hurt. Like, welcome to the world that we've created. Name a time in American history where significant numbers of people's feelings didn't get hurt. It's like, what are you talking about? That's why. And there's so much more I want to, but there's time. There's things I want to develop, and so I just think it's really a fascinating thing for me to watch this Dave Chappelle sort of fiasco play out and have people determine and to watch. I believe, and again, there's millions of pastors and teachers, so there are definitely people on the lines. I'm not saying there's no, but in the world that I'm in, the people that have the YouTube channels, the Twitter stuff, all that stuff that are going on these conferences. Like I haven't seen T4G, Gospel Coalition, G3, none of these conferences that are essentially denominations today. None of them tackle issues like this. All they do is talk about what the other guys do that they disagree with, and you mock each other at your conferences. So people walk out emboldened to go after other believers, right? So let's argue with other believers and call them out and argue with them because we disagree on theological distinctions or preferences that are not even really sound doctrine. And let's avoid dealing with this stuff because we just don't want to deal with the hassle of fill in the blank. I just think it's cowardice. And I'll say it if nobody else wants to. I think it's cowardice. And so
we need a you can't handle the truth button right there.
We need it. I mean, we need to figure out how to put that in here. But I think it's cowardice. And so anyway, all of this say we got a lot to talk through. It's been a while. I'm on fire right now. I'm feeling it. There's a lot that I feel like I've been thinking about. Like the Lord has helped me make some connections just for my own self. And I intend that they're definitely going to be on the Serial Killer Smiling Pictures album. And I definitely want to, pace myself and share these things on this channel, on my Substack. I'm going to start writing again. I haven't written for a couple of months. I took a break because I was writing a lot about race stuff and trying to help people. And I always knew that I never wrote a book. I was starting to write a book and then I stopped. The reason why I did because I know the main issue wasn't about race. That's not the deeper issue. That's not the deeper issue. It's not politics. It's not Calvinism versus Arminianism. There's a deeper issue. And I feel like for me, the Lord has helped me see some things that I think I know what I think the deeper issue is. And I want to explain that over time. That is worth writing about. What I'm talking about, I think the deeper issue is. But for now, I'm intrigued by all of this. Not like, I got it all figured out. It's just that I just have a perspective that I have. Everyone has a perspective. Everyone has it all figured out on one level. Everyone has a level of confidence in what they're seeing and thinking, and I'm no different. So, but it's fascinating to watch this. So, shouts to Dave Chappelle. Shouts to American society. Dave Chappelle is fighting for what it means to be an American. And no disrespect to any group. I don't think anyone should be harmed in any way. I just don't think that disagreement is harm. and I don't think silence is violence. I don't think those things. So,
Right.
but I don't think no. I don't want anyone to hurt anyone. It's true. I want people to be saved and love the Lord.
You know, that was a good point that on that video you sent me of Rogan that he made, where people are looking for an enemy. They're looking for an attacker. They're looking for someone that's trying to destroy them, even in the midst of a time where there may not be.
Right.
So they say they search for that person in the words that they say, you know, the looks that they give versus someone who's really harming. Because if someone was really attacking you and really harming you, then someone saying something about not liking something about your character wouldn't be considered as harmful because
Right.
you would be getting beat down on the other side, and that would be the real harm. You know, but we've lost sight of what real harm is. We've lost sight of what real oppression is. We've lost sight of what real hatred is. You
100.
know, we've lost sight of these things because America has been so codified. I mean, we've been
You
this
can't
is
handle the truth.
yeah, this is the I was telling Florida the other day, America is humanity's attempt at heaven. You know what I'm saying? This was
Yeah.
that was what America was. It was a utopia established
For
for
some,
people,
right?
for some, yeah, exactly. I mean, the ones who had the power and the ability to do so.
Yeah.
You know, they came, they conquered, they set up, and they've, you know, set their flag of we shall succeed and overcome. You know, and have a utopia, heaven on earth.
Right.
The pursuit of happiness. I mean,
Yeah.
that's if that doesn't say that, I don't know what does.
Yeah.
You know, that's the pursuit of happiness here in the
No, it's
United
100%.
States.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
And we've benefited from it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
been glorious. You know,
Yeah.
we've been able to enjoy so much. It does come with its own woes because now all of a sudden you go from a society that fought 2 world wars and went through a depression and so many different things, to now you have a society that everything has been handed to us so easily. You know, so we've forgotten what it meant to fight for things.
Right.
You know, within every community, whether you're black, white, Hispanic, we've all fought to a certain extent for certain things, and we've forgotten what that's like.
No, brother, you on it. And I mean, I know we gotta wrap up in a minute, but I just think I know we've talked about this before. You know, sometimes I have so many conversations and I'm in different I just forget where I said things, where I heard things.
Right.
Because there's so much going on. I've been, moved around a lot. But yeah, I totally agree with you, bro. I think we have forgotten real struggle and we've forgotten that what made America great was the fact that people could think the way they wanted to think as long as it didn't break any laws. They could believe what they wanted to believe as long as it didn't lead to action that broke laws. And that's what made things develop and grow.
Right.
If you look, so now let's really quick, I'm going to end with this, with the Bible. If you go back to Genesis 11, the command that God gave humanity was be fruitful and multiply the earth, right? Like go out into the earth. But they all stayed in one place. So they were all like-minded. They spoke the same language. They stayed in one place. And the only thing they could do was build a tower up.
Yeah.
It was one tower they tried to build up. Instead of putting millions of houses all over the world spread out, you had one tower just trying to go up. That's what you had. And that's what made America great, was that a bunch of people had a bunch of hope, opportunity, desire for things. Let's go out and build. Some of it was definitely wicked and evil. Some of it was just ingenuity, hard work. There were multiple layers of people and what they had. And now it's back to Babel. Let's try to make everyone think and believe the same thing.
Yep.
Because only then can we really be great. And it's just not going to ever happen. The only time it will happen is when the Lord says, all right, it's time for the world, for the four corners of Gog and Magog to rise up against the Christ. And that happens, and the majority of people will be like-minded, controlled by. But until then, it's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen in America. But that's what made America great. It wasn't the economic system. It was I can try something and think something, and we don't have to agree on it. But as long as it's not breaking any laws, I can do it. I can
Yeah.
try, and if it's stupid, then it's stupid. I can try. I can. The Wright brothers. Let's try to fly across the world in a machine. Let's try to build a plane. They didn't know what it was going to be called. Let's try it, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Let's try to make this phone. Let's try to be able to talk to people on the across the street. Let's try to be all this stuff is like let's just try it.
Yeah.
Let's just think this way. Let's do so many things come out of so much comes out of struggle and pain and all
Yeah.
that.
The diversity made America great.
That's what it did.
Assimilation is what has destroyed.
It is.
Assimilation has made it, it's reared its head and shown the ugly side of what this country could be.
100%. It's the assimilation that is the enemy of what America. Again, we're talking about America. We're not talking about Scripture and what the Bible commands us to do. We understand we live in a culture where the vast majority of people do not submit to the Bible.
Yeah,
so I'm not post mill, so I don't think that way. So I'm not even commanding to everyone. So I'm not even. It's just more like as an American, this is what made America great, and I think we're trying to bring everyone back to not back, but trying to get everyone to be forced into thinking one way, one thought, agreeing with this, and it's way deeper than that. But we're going to hold off on that. This is just episode 1. We're rusty. We haven't been here in a minute, but we definitely have much more to say.
And this is new.
Yeah, so we're excited. So listen, we appreciate y'all riding with us, man. This is Cross Examine. You know what I'm saying? This is up. We're on YouTube now. Subscribe to the channel and give us a like on the video. Don't just comment on YouTube. All of our people, if you're listening to us on audio, if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or wherever, Google or Spotify, wherever, please go on the link. Strack posted it here, but you won't be. I'll post it when we put the show out and it's on audio. But go just type in YouTube, find Kirk Kennedy's Corner, and subscribe to that channel. You're going to get Cross Examine. We'll be live every Thursday, and then there are going to be different things that me and Strack weigh in on throughout the week. It might be something crazy happens tomorrow, and we might jump on to do a 5-minute live video. That's the stuff I'm looking forward to, being able to do that. And keep us in prayer because we might say some things, and people might be offended. But America was built on the things that we're trying to do. And so that's what we're doing. We're just being an American right now. We're being American. How to be an American. All right, y'all. I'm Kirk Kennedy. He's Strack the Wolverine.
Yeah.
It's good to be back with y'all. We're out of here, man. Grace and peace, y'all.
Peace.